Hello everyone. Uh, this is a very different video than usual. So yeah, obviously this has been a fun past few days for me. If you aren't aware, then I currently have been facing a situation that absolutely exploded. Since everything, at least of mine, has been full blasted on the internet, then I kind of guess shame has gone out of the window, and right now my only concern is to address every single thing I found recently in order to just get the situation done and over with. This is the one and only time I'll be talking about this. After this video, I will be moving on and uploading like normal. Jerry is going to get another video or two, but after that, I will be coming back as the host. Recently, the creator Parlo, who I used to be really good friends with, and as I'm sure a lot of people know now, a little bit more, has come out with a document on me, and I made a document on him. It's also been probably aware by now that both of us have taken our documents down, which I'll get into later, but I have come here to both debunk everything in this situation that is blatant lies, and actually take accountability for where I have made genuine errors. While I could just sit here and say that I am completely innocent of every single thing and I'm just a perfect angel, obviously that's not true. And I'll own up when needed because while the mistakes I actually did make aren't like career destroying, it is still definitely something I'm going to have to own up to and just fully admit I did wrong. In regards to the serious allegations, then short answer is no, I haven't really done anything like what people are trying to say I have. But in terms of a lot of the other things, there are mistakes I have genuinely made throughout the situation that I'm going to address here. I will be returning to content as normal, but I feel like this video is necessary to move forward. A lot of people have been asking me for this video for a while, and I've been saying the whole time, just be a little patient. I don't want to rush anything like this because this determines what I do going forward. So there's a lot for us to cover, but I figured we would just start with all the serious allegations and go from there. There's going to be timestamps, so if there's a specific section you want to look at, then you can just go and find which section you want to watch. In regards to the Anthrocon furry convention thing, I'll be talking about that in full at the end of this video, but in regards to every other serious accusation, I'm going to cover those one at a time. So let's start off with the big one. One of the first claims of the document that Parlo made is that he felt like he was coerced into having sex with me. That he felt like he had to say yes to me out of fear of what would happen if I said no. That he never felt like he was in a position to say no. We're going to go into specific instances that were brought up, but the main thing to highlight is how Parlo behaved during the situation. Parlo said in his original doc, as well as on live streams, that he actually has a problem saying no, and that oftentimes, even if he wasn't wanting to do something, he'll still do it just to please the other person. He goes on to say that he tried to use his body language in order to let me down instead of just telling me no. This is why if you look at the DMs, he is constantly going along with everything and saying he's totally fine with everything. It's also why during the recountings of what happened, the same thing is being said. I've constantly said that Parlo said yes in almost every single one of our encounters, and when he actually told me no to stuff, I backed off and didn't pressure him. In regards to using your body language and shit in order to tell me he wasn't down, this is in general just not a good way to handle things. A lot of people have been saying this to a large degree, as in doing so, you're just kind of banking on the fact that the other person picks up on things like these. But if you're in a situation like this where you're not comfortable or you're not wanting to do something and you're trying to be subtle, if your subtlety doesn't work, it is your responsibility to just tell the other person how you feel. You cannot blame the other person for not picking up on your subtlety. I'm sorry, that's just not how that works. In my case specifically, as a lot of people have said, I kind of struggle to pick up on body language. Some people have actually asked if I'm autistic, and I do not have any confirmed diagnosis yet, but I will say I have actually scheduled an appointment for that, and I will post the results when I get them. Once again, this isn't exactly something I want to share online, but I'm unfortunately forced into that situation. But yeah, not everyone is able to pick up on subtle body language, and I myself struggle to do so, as has been confirmed by a lot of the people who were personally there. This is why my main point in my original document was that Parlo was telling me yes constantly, because I didn't pick up on the cues he was trying to send. Another thing I would like to highlight before we even move forward is that Parlo is changing his positions constantly in the situation. In his document, he said nothing criminal happened. In private, he was telling people he was sexually assaulted. Now, publicly on Twitter, he's saying it was all alleged. I usually understand why people covering allegations use the term allegedly when it comes to criminal actions. It's because they don't know what happened, so for legal reasons, they have to say that or else they could get in legal trouble. Why on earth would you put allegedly in front of allegations that you are making? Like, could you imagine going to a police station or reporting a crime and saying, Yeah, allegedly my neighbor broke into my house and robbed me when you're like literally the only person to see anything. It makes zero fucking sense. With all that out of the way, let's unfortunately get into the actual scenarios. If you cringed the first time going through this entire situation, it's not going to get much better. If anything, we're on a downhill slope. So, the first night we decided to do oral in the bedroom. Parlo has claimed that I pressured him by pulling out and taking a condom out of the wrapper. I pulled the condom out in the wrapper. Yes, that is what I did, but I didn't open it. I asked if he wanted to do stuff, to which he said sure, and then I pulled the condom out of the wrapper. And almost immediately after I did this, he changed his mind and we didn't end up doing anything. So the wrapper was put on a shelf where it remained for the entire time. Parlo has, for some reason, included a photo censored of the condom in the fucking Google Doc. Oh, we're gonna be seeing a lot of that, by the way. So, like I said, this is your cringe warning. I asked that if he didn't want to do that, if he was down to use a dildo that I had brought along, which, yes, we're gonna talk about, which, God damn it, I don't even know how to talk about this. Yes, it is the famed, it is the Cinderella, which we're going to talk about later. That's a little bit more of the goofy side of this whole thing. Now, he said yes. It's something Parlo even says in his document that he did just to satisfy me, meaning even though he didn't want to, he told me he was down to do it. Even though he could have said no and I would have had zero problem with, which we'll see examples of later, but what do I fucking know? He also included a part about how I asked if we could film. For some reason, he's trying to say that this is just a me thing, like this is just a weird thing I do. No, that's Parlo's thing. He's into that. It's not just something I randomly brought up. God, I fucking hate this. As for the fingering, yes, that is in my script. I received consent to do that. This is the biggest case of he said, she said, but I'm going to stand on this till the end of the time that, yeah, I received consent to do this. I have said that since the very beginning. I'm going to say that till the very end because that is what happened. The second day is one that shoots a hole in Parlo's entire I was scared of what would happen if I said no. Because in the DMs, he tells me that no, he's not willing to do anything tonight. To which I say, okay. And then the most I do is offer to walk him to the train station because, as I've been told by a lot of other people, we were basically in like the Chicago of London. Like, it looked like you'd walked outside and just get stabbed. I kissed him before he left and that was about it. I didn't pursue him sexually after. He said he didn't want to do anything, and I said, all right, we don't have to. So his whole argument of I was scared of what he'd do if I said no, I mean, in what instance in this or any situation prior did he say no and then I crashed out on him? I mean, in his recounting of the first day, he says I gave him the illusion of choice. What am I, fucking Mysterio? Am I just creating illusions for you? No, I said, we don't have to do anything tonight. I would prefer if we did, but at the end of the day, it's entirely up to you. That is your chance. You are given the golden opportunity to say no. That is your chance. If you do not want to do anything, that is where you tell me I don't want to do anything. And you did the second day. You said I don't want to do anything, and we didn't do anything. So this whole I didn't have the chance to say no. You absolutely did. I gave you multiple instances. It's just a completely unfounded claim that he pulled out of his ass, and this is like the prime example of that. I constantly told him I wouldn't want to make him do something he wouldn't be cool with. Constantly. He also tries to say that I kissed him as like some sort of apology or some shit like that. No, I kissed you because I was into you. This shit didn't have a double meaning. It's not like your fucking English assignment where it's like read through the lines. And now with that, we're on to the third day. This seems to be the most contested of all the days in terms of what actually happened. Unfortunately, like a lot of the rest of the situation, there's really zero evidence for either side, so all I can do is share my recounting of the events. We were supposed to go out to a club later that night, but me and Parlo talked about having sex before then. I asked when he would want to do that, before or after we went out to the club, and he said before. I'm someone who likes to have a schedule set up and likes to have a clear pattern of where things are happening, so I was trying to figure out when we were going to do that. After asking Parlo, he told me he wanted to play Minecraft and work on his pyro dock for a bit, but that he still wanted to have sex that night before the club. I walked in and out of the bedroom because my phone was in the bedroom charging, and it was the only outlet that worked, yet I still wanted to hang out with my friends in the other room, so I was going in and out of the bedroom. I would say when I was going in and out of there, but it was just to let them know. Parlo is saying the only reason I possibly did this was to peer pressure him, which is just wrong. Was I hoping at one point he came in there with me? I mean, yeah, like a little bit. But to say I was like a fucking peacock trying to allure him in there is just like false. That wasn't my pure intention at all. That was the only working outlet for my phone, so I literally had to go in and out of the room. Eventually, we went in there and had sex. After that, we were trying to figure out who would take a shower first. Unfortunately, because he spent so long dicking around on Minecraft and working on the Pyro dock while we're supposed to be on vacation, we only had less than an hour before, so I suggested we take a shower together, something he agreed to. Although now is trying to say that I forced my way into the room with him, which is just flat out false. Parlo and Avalon both left later. When they came back, Parlo said he felt like I peer pressured him, and as I later found out on Dicker's livestream, Parlo recorded me and Avalon privately without our consent.
Like, start of the thing. Oh, for goodness sake, my fucking flashlight's not working. I just felt kind of pressured to do stuff for you because I didn't want to make you feel upset if I didn't do anything.
You can tell me no when it comes to that stuff. You don't have to.
I know, but I felt afraid that if saying no would just piss you off because I spent about 1,000 on that ticket. But I mean, I was just saying things that was.
I even told you we don't have to do stuff until December if you want.
I mean, I try not to necessarily.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
I told you we can wait if you wanted. Which, listen. You're allowed to record calls in like Discord or some shit if it's like an online thing, but it's kind of dicey when you do it in real life. Like when it comes to legality, I'm not so sure about how that works, but I don't know. I'm not going to moral fag about it. But the reason why this matters is because it proves that from the very start that my story has remained consistent this entire time, whether it be publicly where I know it's being recorded or privately where I don't know it's being recorded. My story has been consistent from day fucking one, from second one. Also, Parlo has said he never intended for the situation to go public. Then why did you record me that night? You've been very against going to the police with this situation, so what other reason would you have for recording this? You seem to try to say me talking to commentary YouTubers is the catalyst for this, but I don't think that's really true at this point. I think you were going to do something. Parlo has now stated the allegations are alleged, and I will say his response document has leaked. I'm pretty sure Guamgo posted it and other people sent it to me. He brings up this whole thing, but just says that I'm getting an autism diagnosis, which is like the only mention of that entire thing that he has. Listen, no, I did not sexually assault Parlo. I feel like most people have realized that at the very least, this was just an awkward hookup that one person regretted afterwards. There are parts of this accusation and the whole entire trip that I skipped that we'll be talking about later, but no, I did not sexually assault Parlo. I feel like most people have come to that conclusion. But obviously, this isn't the only accusation. As is usual with Parlo, he filled his document with a lot of bullshit. I mean, compare our documents. Mine was just about the sexual assault allegations and the GoFundMe stuff, which we're going to talk about that in a bit too. Parlo made like 50 different accusations. I mean, almost all of them are bullshit. There's a lot of people coming out of the woodwork, too, to make other accusations, but those are also just bullshit as well, so let's just keep going. Another very serious accusation and very false accusation is grooming. So, some people, for whatever reason, are trying to push the accusation right now that I'm a groomer. Not only am I confused on where this accusation is coming from, but even the person I allegedly groomed, Avalon, is not on board with this allegation. And Parlo wasn't originally until his channel got terminated. That's right, I've been told behind the scenes that Parlo was planning on not even including this when this whole thing went public, but also that people have told him to drop this behind the scenes and he considered it. But after his channel got terminated, he just went ahead and decided to call me a pedophile or something. So yeah, now we have to respond to that. It's not just that, but there's like zero evidence for anything related to grooming in this scenario. There's zero evidence for anything related to this claim in general. As far as I've seen, this whole thing just seems to be a rumor started from Parlo. The entire grooming claim is just downright false. I have been friends with Avalon for a very long time, and at no point had I ever been sexual or romantic towards him, nor was he that way towards me. We were never like that. It wasn't until after he turned 18 that Avalon started coming on to me and offering the idea of a three-way between me, him, and Parlo. This is proven in the DMs from before the situation even happened. And while I was hesitant at first due to the nature of our friendship, I also thought it was just very morally ambiguous. I didn't know if this was like okay or not. Avalon said he didn't see a problem with it multiple times, so I eventually figured there was nothing wrong with it. At most, the three of us discussed this whole thing, but Avalon's partner wasn't cool with it, so we didn't end up actually doing anything. This is not grooming, this is not pedophilia, it is so fucking far away from that. The most you can say is it's weird and reckless of me. That is literally like the deepest this can go. I find it hilarious how Parlo is saying I groomed Avalon though, when he was ecstatic to have a three-way with the two of us. In fact, actually, I'm gonna read a DM Parlo sent me around the time we were discussing it, a day after we made that group chat. I asked Zillow if he got the go-ahead from Okay, I feel bad a little bit though, because I don't know how complex this all could be, and I wouldn't want to do anything unless they explicitly asked, because if it's between you and him, I wouldn't want to intrude on that. It's just that I'd love to be a part of it if they are all fine. You know, for someone who's saying I groomed this guy and I'm like a pedophile or something, certainly very eager to join in when you liked me. If I thought someone was a groomer, I wouldn't be trying to have fucking three-ways with them, Parlo. That's retarded. After Parlo made this accusation, I actually went to Avalon and others in our friend circle to genuinely figure out what the fuck is going on, to which Avalon has said that he doesn't agree with this claim or think I'm a groomer. Same with others in our circle. They also said that they've never gotten any of that, like they've never even suspected anything like that is going on. Like I said, Parlo made this claim, but was going to drop it after Avalon put pressure on him, but is now using it again because Parlo has the biggest victim complex in the world. So if people don't believe I'm a rapist, because why the fuck would they? This guy's been lying out of his ass, then I have to be a pedophile. All because he's mad his channel is gone. And that's because he has no one else to blame for his channel being terminated. He can't blame Mugen because the guy's a fucking nobody. He can't blame Cormanx because that guy's off the internet. He can't blame Guamgo because that'd be a fucking disaster. So I just have to be the villain. So yeah, this entire fucking grooming claim is just retarded. It's just entirely not true at all. There was also an incident where I invited Avalon to the OpBlock server when he was 17, but he wasn't allowed in because the server was 18 plus. I invited him there because he wants to be a manager for a lot of YouTubers, so I figured I could invite him to a server with multiple creators so he could potentially rub elbows. When Avalon joined, he was put in the verification channel, and when I asked the owner if he was allowed in, they said it was only 18 plus, so I told Avalon he had to leave. People are trying to spin this as me wanting to put a minor in an 18 plus space, but the reality is I just wasn't aware of the age requirement for the server when I invited him. He never got past the verification channel, and I mean, the OpBlock server isn't like porn, or it's not like sex or anything, so I didn't assume it was 18 plus. Is that a little reckless? I mean, sure, but like, people are saying it's malicious. It's really not. And I feel like I did everything in that situation. I found out the server was 18 plus and he wasn't allowed to join, so I told him he couldn't get in. I didn't fucking beg the owner to let him in. I didn't get on my hands and knees. I didn't have a fucking 4-hour call go like, please let him in. Please, dear Lord, let him in. No, I found out the server was 18 plus and I told him he had to go. Personally, to me, the whole framing of the situation is crazy. Anytime people bring this up, they only say the server was 18 plus, which sounds like you're talking about a pornography server, when in reality, they're just talking about a drama server that doesn't allow anyone under 18. You may ask why this matters, and it's purely because of the connotation this allegation has. Wolfgang invited a 17-year-old to an 18-plus server sounds way worse than Wolfgang invited a 17-year-old to a drama server that didn't allow minors. But guess which one people have been spreading around? It's the one that gets them more content. That's the one they're spreading. I mean, just lay this situation out. I invited someone to a server, was told he couldn't join, so I told him to leave. That's the extent of this allegation. I'm sorry, if you think this is a massive thing, I think you have a massive thing growing on the side of your head. Speaking of, there's a claim going around that me and Parlo invited Avalon to a group chat and sent him NSFW when he was underage, which is just entirely false. I've actually seen people like Lio Convoy push this, which, I mean, I don't know what I expected, but let me just really quickly say, Avalon turned 18 in September, and the group chat was made in October after he came on to me. So no, this claim's just entirely false, and yet people have literally pushed this without any evidence. That says a lot about you, I'll just say that. Like I said, this whole grooming claim just seems pulled out of nowhere. Avalon himself has said multiple times that he does not agree with this claim, which, funnily enough, We were supposed to work with Parlo to just entirely figure out how to just drop this claim from the entire story. And by the way, it's not just the reason why Avalon hasn't publicly or privately confirmed this claim is true, because he doesn't believe it, but it's also part of the reason he is currently helping me debunk the entire claim. Who do you think I've been going to make sure this entire thing has been, like, good? I've constantly asked Avalon, like, did you think I was, like, grooming you at any point? Did you think I was ever inappropriate to you? I've been constantly making sure that I didn't put him in a situation like that. And he's never once said that he felt like I groomed him. He hasn't said that to me. He hasn't said that to anyone else around us. This is a claim Parlo is making. And ironically, this claim is fucking Parlo over, because if this is grooming, then Parlo would also be guilty of that. Parlo doesn't realize that if he keeps pushing this allegation, then he's a pedophile. Which, listen, man, the police are already investigating you. You don't need to give them more ammunition. And like I said, a lot of the stuff from Parlo's doc was meant to be cut, which has been, I think, publicly confirmed. This accusation was supposed to be one of them. As we all know, he switched positions, which, to be honest, this just feels like he kind of realized that his career is completely fucked, so he just wanted to take me down with him. Yeah, this entire claim is just bullshit, and it's a pathetic attempt to make me look bad. The only reason I feel like this is included is because Parlo doesn't fully believe in the whole sexual assault allegation, or else he wouldn't have needed to include this. It's like he realized that people didn't believe that I was like a rapist or a sexual assaulter. So naturally the next thing is, oh, I have to be a villain somehow, so now I just have to be a pedophile. It's disgusting. It's pathetic. Of all the false claims in this situation, it's just the most false. And yeah, I feel like I've done a pretty adequate job of explaining why this is bullshit. But those are the real big accusations. Everything else from here on out is just kind of goofy shit, or shit that isn't really that big of a deal. So this is the embarrassing part of the whole thing. Let's get on to an accusation that's just flat out wrong. Zoophilia. Parlo is trying to argue that certain commissions of mine that I got when I was a furry makes me a zoophile. I'm gonna need to simplify this for normies. This shit is really embarrassing. So, I've said before, do whatever the fuck you want in DMs. If it's two adults just being weird in DMs and it's not illegal shit, do whatever the fuck you want. As long as you're not hurting anybody, I don't really care. Just keep your shit out of the public eye. Unfortunately, Parlo decided to post every single facet of my life that he had publicly. He's posted my name. He's posted what I look like. He's posted my driver's license. Did we need this information? No, we really didn't. But Parlo's schizophrenic, so he's going to do it anyway. One thing that Parlo brought up is because of some furry porn I commissioned, I am a zoophile. I used to be a furry, all right? And I think it's pretty clear that I'm just a fucking faggot, bro. Like, I think that's pretty clear from the situation. So naturally, as a furry, I got a lot of commissions of shit that's supposed to be private. Did I get any porn that depicted animals or anything like that? Like a dog getting fucked or something? No, I got normal furry porn because I'm a queer. That's what I did. The reason Parlo is trying to call me a zoophile is because of the genitalia of some of the art pieces. I hate that I even have to explain this because this is just fucking so fucking cringe, but if you're a normie, this is weird. It's a very taboo thing when it comes to people who aren't furries, obviously, but it is really just a cultural difference. In the furry community, this type of shit is just normal, but obviously to other people who are normal functioning adults, it's very taboo, and it can be misinterpreted as zoophilia. If you think it's a weird thing, I cannot take that away from you, and I'm not even going to attempt to. If you think it's weird, honestly, I can't say it's not weird. But it's not zoophilic. To say it is just kind of false. I've even seen streams where people are conflicted on if this is zoophilia or not. It's not. I do know what zoophilia is, obviously. I call people out for it all the time. But that's not to say that, like, that just automatically excuses me of the claim, but I'm saying I know where the line is. I know what is reprehensible, immoral artwork, and I know what's just weird. And this is just a weird thing. I wish that the shit I was into was not public, and I still don't really feel a need for this to be public, but I mean, it is what it is. Speaking of embarrassing shit that was made public for zero reason is my sexual health. Yeah, that's right. For some reason, Parlo decided to tell the entire internet what my sexual history was, and the fact that I had an STD at one point. You may be asking if I had an STD when having sex with Parlo, which would make the claim justifiable to make public. I mean, to which you'd be wrong. It's actually something I told Parlo literally 4 days before I went to visit him, that I did not have an STD. The most I had was a mark on my body, but a doctor confirmed that it's probably just a skin irritation. And I went to a dermatologist like a week ago. They confirmed it's just something I'm supposed to have. It's not an STD. I did not have an STD when I had sex with Parlo. So why on earth is the fact that I had one like a year ago public? Who fucking knows? There was literally zero reason for this to be public. Another minor thing that Parlo brought up was hygiene, which, yeah, I'm going to talk about this a little bit. He tried to make it out like I'm just some gross and disgusting motherfucker. The thing that Parlo doesn't mention is that the instance he's talking about is the first day that I was in London. This was after I'd been on a plane for the past 2 consecutive days. Like, literally, I'd been on a plane for 22 hours. So obviously, when I met them at the Airbnb, I would have smelled like shit. Parlo asks why I didn't buy shampoo at the airport, and that's because you were texting me about how you were fucking starving. It took me 22 hours to fly there, and then it would have taken me like another hour to get to the house. And when I got there and landed, you were telling me about how you were starving. So it still took me fucking forever to get there. I didn't want to stop on a fucking side quest because you were starving. You were telling me you were hungry. And I was actually denied from using Avalon shampoo at first. We were supposed to go to Tesco's the next day to get shampoo, but unfortunately we left the Airbnb to go into London before Tesco's opened, because it opens at like 10 a.m., but we left before that. It wasn't until that night at the Airbnb that Avalon said I could just use his stuff, because it was kind of clear due to our whole times that that would be impossible for me to get shampoo. So yeah, this whole accusation, as well as my sexual history, were, I mean, realistically only brought into this to try and humiliate me, which honestly kind of worked out in my favor, because that seems to be all people are talking about, which, fine, I guess. I deserve my licks. And the same goes with the legend that is the Cinderella. Oh god, this, honestly, if there's one thing that's been talked about in this situation that's made me happy, it's this fucking thing, because this has just become a complete meme. I think everyone can collectively agree there was zero reason for that much detail to be poured into that alone. And I want to quickly say, by the way, I didn't name it that. That was just what it was called when I bought it at the store. Trust me, I wish I could take credit for that. I bought it because the name was funny, so I'm glad people are agreeing the name was funny. I wish I could take credit for it being named that. Trust me, I wish I could, but I unfortunately can't. To end the Cinderella segment off on something that's actually, like, important, that actually matters, when I was going through our DMs, I found this. I got all the gay stuff, and that toy you wanted me to bring. So, Parlo said I forced him to use a dildo, but he asked me to bring it. I mean, just look at what he was saying. Oh, hey, wait, hold on a second. These DMs look weird. It's almost like I had to use a third-party software to download my DMs with Parlo the millisecond I got home, because I figured he would end up deleting DMs. But that's ridiculous. It's not like Parlo has actually been deleting DMs, which is something we'll definitely not go more into later. And there's one last thing I want to address before moving on, and that's the whole suicide baiting claim. Parlo has put my struggling mental health on full blast for people's amusement. This is stuff that I really don't like to talk about publicly. I really don't like to talk in general about how I'm doing mentally. I like to keep that between very fucking close friends, because you guys don't really deserve to know about how I'm doing like that. One situation he brought up is the Anthrocon stuff last year, where the situation I was going through, I said that it was making me suicidal. While I didn't intend for it to be taken in a manipulative way, that was unfortunately the way it was taken. And after I was informed that people had a problem with me putting that out into the ether, I have taken great strides to not repeat that mistake. That is why throughout the entire course of this situation, my mental health has been my own thing. I've not talked to literally anyone apart from one person about how I've been feeling throughout this, because I don't want to repeat the same mistake. I don't want to do the same thing. I don't want people to feel like I'm manipulating them. I don't want to feel like I'm doing that to anyone. I think that's shitty. People talk about learning and growing, and during the situation, I really haven't brought my mental health up once. I really could have, but I didn't want a repeat of last time. It was shitty of me to do back then, and I learned from my mistakes, and I have taken great strides to not repeat that. So it was shitty back then, and I apologize for bringing up my mental health in a situation like that. And for having people feel like I was manipulating them. But I definitely learned from that, and I will not repeat the same mistake, just like I have not now. But the whole suicide baiting thing is just ironic, considering literally days ago he went on Dicker's stream and suicide baited.
Yeah. Leave and come back. Now I've seen that that is impossible, and can't say, but a lot of people have
Okay.
fucking blood on their hands now. But yeah,
Whoa. Okay.
It's a pattern that we're going to see that Parlo is just a complete hypocrite. Speaking of Parlo, I guess I should talk about this briefly. The GoFundMe thing. Now, this is probably the biggest point of contention against Parlo. Obviously, he's publicly apologizing and issuing refunds for everything and how everything went down and having his fans feel like he scammed them. Well, I wasn't going to show this off because if he was taking accountability, I guess whatever. But I think it's important to show what he said the night before it was made public. Your GoFundMe point was horrendous. No, that's actually a banger point. Like classic deflection level straw grabbing. No, it was genuinely horrible, and commentary people agreed in private. So yeah, he knew 24 hours before that this claim was going to be made public, and him and certain creators he was talking to thought it was stupid. It's crazy now he's changed his tune, and how these same creators are publicly bashing him for it, but that's just me. By the way, I will say, I don't have evidence, so I'm not going to name names, but I was told every single person he talked to about this, and I know every single person who said this claim was stupid. Boy, did they fucking change their stances really quickly. That's all I'll say. The last thing I can address is an absolutely fucking wild one. I am accused of being a Nazi, despite having one of the craziest gay sex leaks online. This accusation stems from the fact that I have a game on my Steam library called Furry Dictator. I said this in a past video, and I'll say it here again. This was going to be for a video that never ended up coming out back when I was making furry content. I don't have the game installed, and not only that, I have literally 0 seconds in the game. So yeah, this accusation too is just entirely bullshit. But with that, we've reached the end of the main accusation segment. Now onto the Anthrocon stuff. So the Anthrocon thing, a situation that had long since been dead but was dug out of the grave to try and use against me. It's a situation that, just like this one, is very easily debunkable because it's incredibly similar. This is a situation of someone trying to use their body language instead of their fucking words to tell me how they feel. At the Airbnb at this convention I was attending with some people, one of them told me they were down to hook up, so I began to rub their knee. They then tried to spin this into me sexually assaulting them, which is just fucking retarded. And then instead of just letting me down, they constantly told me that they just wanted to have sex later instead of just telling me that they were no longer interested. And like Parlo, they tried to use their body language to tell me they weren't interested instead of just literally just say so. Like I said earlier, I struggle to pick up on body language like this. I went through the fucking ringer and absolute hell to debunk and disprove the situation, and that is why the situation hasn't been talked about in a while. But Parlo decided to interject a situation he has basically zero knowledge of to try and use that against me, even when back then people were dropping the situation because it sounded like an awkward hookup, which is exactly what it was. There's zero evidence for either side, so this too is just a he said, she said. Now we've reached the part about all the actual genuine errors I made in this situation. That's right. Despite everything seriously career destroying being as flat as paper, I did still make errors in my handling of this. One thing I did that was shitty was I sent a photo of me and Parlo making out to a mutual friend after he threw these accusations at me. It was a thing I did in a panic, but obviously that does not matter. It was a shitty thing to do regardless. I was still ultimately the only one responsible, and it's something I have apologized to Parlo for live, in DMs, and I even did it in a private VC the next day. I will say that while this is something I genuinely apologize for, it's really cringe. As mentioned previously, Parlo posted my name, what I look like, part of my driver's license, and my sexual history for the internet to just enjoy, and none of that is relevant. So while when I did it, it was bad, I'm definitely going to say Parlo did far worse. Another thing I did was I deleted one of the DMs I had with a friend about this whole situation, back about the whole like third day during the sex thing where Parlo said I was trying to peer pressure him. Ironically enough, had I not done this, I would have completely exonerated myself of some of the shit being said about me. Once again, there really isn't a justification for this, and even though I did it in a panic, it was still ultimately something I did of my own accord, and it's something I genuinely apologize for. But As I alluded to earlier, would you guys be surprised if Parlo is doing the same fucking thing? I'm apologizing for deleting one single DM in this entire instance. I was generous and said there could potentially be another instance of me deleting a DM. As far as I'm aware, there hasn't been any proven instances of that, so this is literally the only documented instance we have of that. Well, when I went to my DMs with Parlo to get stuff for this video, I discovered Parlo had been deleting entire conversations worth of DMs. And as I highlighted earlier, some of these actually changed the entire situation around how some of these accusations look. Trust me, there's a lot of things here that he deleted which make him look bad. So while the one DM I deleted was bad, I'd argue the amount that he's deleted is kinda worse. Another big fuck up I had was when this situation happened, I went and asked drama YouTubers their perspectives on this whole thing to figure out the optics and if I was fucked or not. Obviously doing this only made it spread and while a lot of people told me I should just talk to lawyers instead, I didn't think this situation was that serious, and I still don't think this situation is serious enough to involve lawyers. But I shouldn't have gone and talked to other people about it. I should have kept it to myself. That's my mistake. This is something I have actually apologized to the people involved for. I had a conversation with Avalon behind the scenes where I apologized for speaking to those people. And it's just something I want to apologize for again. I didn't really see a problem with it, but after a lot of people have explained to me why it was wrong, I fucked up. I'm sorry. To end this video off, this situation went from a funny, haha, look at this retard, he fucked Parlo, to people genuinely lying about me and trying to cancel me. This could have genuinely just been a funny drama, but instead people tried to maliciously use this to try and ruin my career. When it came to the situation, I said I was going to respond and debunk everything that mattered, and all I asked for was a little bit of patience, something I was not granted. Instead, people went with and ran with absolutely crazy stories with zero evidence. It's a little gross, to be honest, especially since to a lot of people, I told them they could talk to me if they had questions. But still, people went and called me a pedophile with baseless accusations. I was originally going to take a month or two off, but honestly, I've kind of had people tell me just to return after this video comes out, so I'll give Jerry another video or two, and then I'll be back as the host, because I've really taken time to just reflect on this self and reflect on me. I mean, I definitely got some things I got to work on, but this situation is more of a bullet to Parlo's career than mine. Obviously, this isn't going to convince everyone, but if I provide enough evidence for claims and you just refuse to believe some, I can't help you. I have messed up during the situation, but to a funny degree, honestly, not to like a malicious degree like what everyone is saying. This situation completely spiraled, and I think I've made it clear that a lot of this just genuinely seems malicious and that people wanted me gone more than actually hearing me out, but that's just me. And one last thing, I want to address Parlo directly because I know you're watching this video. Even after this whole situation happened, I still was trying to help you out. I was in DMs trying to figure out a collective response that the two of us could work on to save both of our careers. I genuinely gave a shit about you when everyone else didn't, when everyone else was warning me to just dip out on you, that you were complete schizo, that you were going to fucking crash out, that you were going to stab me in the back. And I should have listened. I don't know why I didn't. I think you are completely hopeless, and I know people have been telling him to get off the internet. Trust me, I've been saying it even as the situation has started. The reality is, this guy has nothing else. I mean, he's poor, he's homeless, and God knows he can't get a job. This is really all he has, and if he can't have that, he's going to try to bring other people down with it. The most I can say is just ignore this guy. Treat him like a circus animal, honestly. If people have questions, if people want to talk to me, you can join my Discord. My DMs are open. Like I said, the one thing I can say before I end this off is I genuinely tried to help Parlo out. A lot of people told me he was a schizo lolcow, but I wasn't around for a lot of the shit that got him that title, and I felt like it was unfair of me to label him as such. And I mean, until this situation happened, my interactions with him were nice, and I thought he was on a little bit of a redemption arc, so I thought people just did the typical internet thing of making someone out to be worse than they actually are. Through this situation, it's become abundantly clear that I was just wrong, and this guy is genuinely a lost cause. Ironically enough, we talked about STDs, but it seems the only STD that was transferred during our sexual encounters was the lolcow gene. I have a pretty lax view when it comes to online shit, and I try to be chill and get along with everyone, but as I've been told by people, it's just kind of a detriment to me. So going forward, I'm really not going to try to befriend any of these people. I just see people as associates from now on. Parlo wasn't the first, but he is the last. I think it's just easier to deal with. I guess the most I can do is apologize to people for ever giving this guy any of my time, or treating him like a human being instead of a circus animal. I should have listened to what people said, and I have no one to blame but myself. Anyway, that's it. Thank you for listening. I'll be back in a month or two, so be nice to Jerry, and I don't know, later.